Hey Supernatural family, this is Emily from Supernatural on the Rocks. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. Number one, it's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can also make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Anchor is everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Don't you cry no more.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Supernatural on the Rocks.
And I'm Mandy.
And this is our second episode where we cover the second season of Supernatural. And this is the second episode, second season.
To start off with an overview, do you like it better or worse than the-
I like it better.
I agree.
Yes.
Just want to set the stage. I far more of this than I
Mhm.
and I at least expected I would, because I'm not the biggest fan of Sam's storyline in it. And I did
Yes.
remember not loving Sam's storyline, but like some of the individual episodes, I got kind of into.
It's rough not to like the Sam storyline when it's the overriding storyline of the second season. Sam and the special children.
And part of it is just frustration, because I feel like there were ways to do that I would have enjoyed. They just didn't do any of them.
Yes. Yeah. So, the overview of season 2 is that, and it picks up absolutely directly where season 1 ends, with Sam and Dean in the hospital. John has apparently died, right? Am I crossing my season 1 finale with my season 1 episode?
He is alive and part of the first episode.
Right.
Because Dean is, dead.
Ish.
Yeah.
Dead-ish. Sidebar on Dean being dead. We'll get to that. That's going to be a major topic of this episode, I think. I'm gonna have plenty to say about Dean being dead.
But yeah, in the very first episode, one of my notes, not to just read straight from the script, but one of my notes is John is such an asshole. And it made the season opener unenjoyable for me, because I don't love the family storyline.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the daddy issues plots. I still have opinions on them, and again, those will flow into some of the other topics we'll discuss. But just in terms of what makes me to an episode, I struggled through. In fact, I watched the first episode, and even though my plan had been to binge through it, I stopped and didn't watch another one for a week. I was
wow.
Literally sapped my desire to watch more. And then when I did get back, I liked episode 2. I got back into it pretty.
Episode 2 is a hard turn from episode 1, and
yes,
I think they did that on purpose.
Yeah.
Because episode 2 feels like the second half of the season finale the premiere of season 2 feels like the second half of the season 1 finale, and it is
really
that John is sitting there watching Dean die, and the audience doesn't yet know, what the fuck are you going to do about it? And John is kind of blaming Sam for the accident. What was he doing with the cult? And John just kind of lives in the past. He is
so demon obsessed, and so obsessed with righting some specific wrong that he's just, I don't know, he's negligent when it comes to his family. Obviously his kids are adults now, but that
are
kind of negligence in terms of years on this earth.
Yes.
Emotionally, no, and we can discuss that more later too.
They are, yeah. And he, no one in this family shares plans. No one shares information in a way that may help the greater cause. John whispers something to Dean. We find out later that he had something to say about Sam. Potentially maybe these are things that John should have said to Sam.
What was the downside to saying that in front of Sam?
Especially considering Sam's entire life
yeah,
is hinged on Yellow Eyes and these special fucking children and their destiny. Maybe it's good to know that your life is wrapped up in something that happened when you were 6 months old and is leading you inexorably to a particular fate. I don't know. Maybe good to know.
I mean, it also feels strongly. John is not doing anything for his kids. John isn't even really doing anything for his, like, dead wife, revenge. He really just needed a focus in life, and that's it. Like,
yeah, and it does seem like if his focus in life was to protect his children, then yeah, and like maybe actually educating them on some of this lore in a more structured way. Every time, and we can talk about, the lore throughout this season, because I feel like we whole ton of creatures this season.
yeah.
Just like every episode, it's like, hey, killer clowns, demons, werewolves, vampire, tricksters, boom, boom, boom. It feels like maybe John should have had like weekly sessions with Sam and Dean saying like, this week we are going to discuss tricksters. This week we're going to discuss werewolves. It feels like they have to flip through his little diary. Just hope.
I was going to say, like, all he left them was a poorly written book that they can't even, like, control F through to find what they need.
Yeah.
How much time they waste having to, like, index the book themselves?
Yeah, there's no tabs. There's nothing. There's nothing. They just have to hope that he wrote something esoteric down at one point in his life that wasn't water damaged.
And that they can actually decipher.
But that's John for you. Crazy old man.
Supposed to root for them to be reunited with, I guess. Personally, I'm like, stay dead. Their lives seem a lot simpler when you're dead.
It does. He hurts them less when he is gone. But they do spend a lot of time talking about him and what he would have wanted from them.
Which is also frustrating, because at this point, I don't know that John cared enough about them to want anything from them.
No.
Like,
no.
If he wanted anything from them, he could have maybe given a shit while, he spent all of season 1 just avoiding them for no reason while they were desperately trying to find him.
That's true. He did. He was constantly hiding from them and, like, ducking around doorways when they were super close to finding him. Like Scooby-Doo style, like, whoa, no. And then he calls forth Yellow Eyes in a summoning ritual that he happens to know about, and which I guess he could have done at any point before Dean mostly dies.
Apparently, yeah.
And it's got that season finale timing. Calls forth Yellow Eyes and makes a deal. And making deals is another topic I think we should harp on for a few minutes at some point in this episode. Fuck deals. Does anything good ever happen in this show from making a
no.
Absolutely nothing good happens in the long run. And maybe that's the point. I think is that
if that is the point, then I will say they make it fairly well.
They do. They sure do. Yeah, that trying to change is maybe the worst thing that you could try to do on Supernatural, which is interesting if you consider their fandom name of Team Free Will.
Yeah.
So John makes a deal, which don't know the terms of because we have a classic cut to black. Dean wakes up from his, coma. This is the second time his life has been in true peril, a season plus an episode. So that's rough. And I imagine that he's been in peril before, like in his teenage, before he learned how not to die.
How not? Well,
hopefully. If you think about how hurt he gets as a somewhat seasoned hunter, I have to imagine he's gotten his ass kicked.
Yeah.
A couple of times. So that's the rough start to season 2 of Supernatural.
And we have that hard turn into clowns and
we do.
Character.
We do. So the rest of the arc of season 2, I don't know if you'd like to take a stab at it. We have a hefty run of just Monster of the Week episodes for a good while here.
Which I enjoy. Like, I don't want to sound surprised when I say that. Like, I'm not trying to presume that I'm going to hate things Supernatural does, because clearly I am getting into the show. I made like 8 pages worth of notes in this, and a solid 60% of them are not complaining. I'm a positive person. But yeah, like throughout the season, our arc that we're following is Sam and the Special Kids.
Yes.
Which tie into the episodes fairly well. Like, you don't always know what you're dealing with until not the end, but it
does. Yeah, the Croatoan episode. Fuck all Gordon the Vampire Hunter. That dude. Yeah, there are some monster. There's probably more. I mean, there's 15 episodes, 15 seasons of the show to try to recall, but they do tie fairly consistently to the special children theme to the plot, which
I mean,
doesn't
that's the
doesn't
part
always happen.
Yeah, that's the part that frustrates me because I think the way some of them were tied in was really good. But I think they just didn't go quite there with it. I don't know. They by the end, without like skipping too far ahead, I don't think I cared about some of them as much as I should. And then they threw in a few random extra ones at the end.
Right.
Which I don't know if we want to. I'll save this and closer to talking about the finale.
The special kids.
Yeah, as far as the Monster of the Week episodes, strong X-Files vibes from a lot.
Strong.
And like not even just in the plots, but in like some of the storytelling choices.
Yes.
Just X-Files vibes. The multiple perspectives episode. Where they're like retelling it to Bobby, like X-Files did it, and you know that.
That one I just straight up wrote down, and I was like, they did this, right?
Yeah.
Like they did this episode, and it was one of their top 10 all-time best episodes. So like high bar for you guys to try to hit.
And I liked the episide. They didn't hit the X-Files bar, but I liked it. So they didn't entirely fall short.
They didn't, and I feel like I actually wrote in my notes that I said, "This is bad blood, fight me."
Yeah.
I was that's what I wrote. And the other one, it's the one where there are twins, the rival twins. That was an episode that reminded me of a season 7 X-Files episode called Fight Club that featured my god, what is her name? The comedian who got, and I like her, Kathy Griffin.
Oh, yes. Okay.
And the fun fact that I looked up is that Kim Manor was also a producer on that season of X-Files. This is basically an X-Files podcast on top.
I mean, it kind of like, in a lot of ways right now in the show, there's not many ways for it not to be because the influence is so strong. And it's not like they tried to hide that they were influenced by the X-Files.
Right.
I'm pretty sure they were fairly open about that, but
I think they had to have been. Yeah, they had to have. So, if you're talking about what is the flow of season 2? It's that we kind of get out of the hospital, and then we're just like, boom, Monster of the Week episodes. Let's get this show on the road. Let's get them fighting every monster we can think of. Yeah. While we kind of try to build up this special children.
And also just building up the universe. We, see a lot more of Ellen and Joe. We see a lot more Bobby. Some recurring characters come back. Hi there, Trickster.
Yep.
It's just...
I think they do a good job.
I think they do too. I was trying to figure out a way to say, like, I think it's well done within the Monster of the Week episodes. It also makes a lot of sense that they would have a pool of people to call on.
Yes, and they should. Like, if they've decided that there is a world hunters, why wouldn't there be other? Like, in fact, shouldn't there be more of them?
You would think.
I loved meeting Ellen in the Roadhouse.
Yes.
Frankly. I don't know how you feel about Jo Harville.
I love her.
I love Jo. Yes. I love Jo. She's too young for Dean, frankly.
Oh, God. Okay, I don't remember. And I don't know if I don't remember this because it doesn't happen or if I don't remember this because I blocked it out, but I can't recall anything romantic between them. So
I think that is all fanon.
Okay.
They are friends. I believe there is some like trouble down the road that happens. I think she disappears for a couple. Say all women disappear full season.
Yeah.
But I can't remember what season she comes back in. But they never actually. That's all.
That's okay. That makes me relieved because I had completely forgotten the whole like thing where Sam was possessed is saying all those things. As I watched it, I was like, I hope that's not leading somewhere that I just don't remember.
No, I remember it only being fanon. And like
it has been 14 years since I've seen these episodes.
I know, right? It's crazy. And she's frankly far too good for him.
Oh, absolutely. I absolutely loved the H.H. Holmes episode. And I did have a little bit of frustration the second season or not, there's probably more than two, but the Born Under a Bad Sign. I don't know. I
Mm.
don't like how it ties into more of the beginnings of Supernatural and their shitty treatment of women. Like, she's kind of strong and capable and feisty in one episode, is literally a prop to be abused in the next one.
Yeah, I know. It is taking a character who is fully capable of running a roadhouse and taking care
Yeah.
of herself.
Yeah. Like, I don't like the inconsistency in her that
Mhm.
feels strictly like she's a prop. Like, they're not considering her character, they're considering her what she can do to reinforce Sam or Dean in a scene.
Yeah, and that's the episode, right, where Sam is possessed by Meg, right? And
Yes.
is calling Dean out. So
Yeah.
Meg, possessed as Sam, is calling Joe out for carrying a torch for Dean.
Yeah.
So it's using her feelings for him as if that's the only piece of her worthwhile in this
And that,
episode.
yeah, that is another thing that, like, and I made the note, like, I love / hate to look at a scene and think, what would this dialogue be if this were a man? Would not have
Yes.
gone to the emotions place like
Right.
that. And that
Yep.
just, that bugs me. We could go on and talk more about but do we want to view episode by episode?
Yeah, I think there's just some really interesting
Yes.
one-off episodes in this season because they really do pull out a lot of new or changed up monsters. Like we've got killer clowns just for fun. We've got return of some vampires, but these are vampires who don't drink human blood.
And I liked that. Sterling K. Brown,
Mhm.
amazing.
Yep.
Just a fan
Just
of his.
straight fan.
Yeah, just a fan, yeah. I just had his note, like a note that's just his name.
Just Sterling K.
like-
Brown. Done. I did like what it brings up, and it brings it up a couple times in this season, and I probably a couple times elsewhere, and I'm thinking of, and I can't think of any other details, but it will come up later. Where like what makes a monster, and what is it for the Winchesters to kind of decide as judge, jury, and executioner to murder things, because they're just gonna blow in there and murder a bunch of vampires without, in this case, without cause. And what who are they to decide what creatures get to be killed, if anyone, if they start thinking about what is, I don't know, the food chain existing
Yeah.
here? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, humans eat cows. Should there be a cow army that gets to decide that people are evil? You know, I mean, that's kind of a,
I mean,
that's a bit of a straw man.
Personally, yes, but
Right, that's a bit of a straw man argument there, but like,
sort of like the little cartoon strip of the deer holding the gun in the middle of the woods.
yeah,
and
it
the
is.
hunters running. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay. But I do,
right.
yeah, I agree. I like that little moral issue, and it comes back up in the Croatoan episode.
Yes.
Where Dean's, the murder them all advocate, and Sam's trying to convince him not to.
And it's funny too, because sometimes Dean is on the murder them all, and sometimes Dean is like, whoa, hold the fuck on. And I feel like that falls which writer understands Dean the best.
Yeah. I mean,
Because
there's a little bit multiple personality thing happening between episodes.
Yeah, because Dean was the one who didn't want to kill all the vampires. He was like, well, they're not killing anybody, so who cares? And Sam was the one like, but they're murderers. Like, well, these ones aren't. And that to me feels safe. That feels right. Like, well, they're not killing people, so
I mean,
whatever.
I feel like that's the kind of thing that, like, obviously we are both fanfic, enthusiasts. A fic writer would just be like, his blood sugar's low. He needs a candy bar, and then suddenly Dane's like, oh yeah, let's not murder them.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, there's some definite character inconsistencies there that the writers noticed, weren't on the same page for.
You have to. What's the commercial? Like, you got to get him a Snickers.
Yeah. Yeah. So after the vampire episode, we have another a break from the daddy issues to have some mommy issues.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say this this episode felt a little bit Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Just in that, like, we kind of get a better look at Dean PTSD from dying.
Right. That's, I mean,
of,
feels important.
Yeah, a little bit important. And like, I didn't love the episode overall,
No, me neither.
but I also did kind of like the development in it, and I like the Pet Cemetery reference.
There's quite a lot of that.
As soon as they on screen said the line "What's dead should stay dead," I just like wrote down Pet Cemetery, and then they made the reference, and I was like, well, at least they're
They did. I wrote down in a couple places what dead should stay dead. And that I think I wrote it in both like theme of season 2 and then like somewhere else. Like
it is a good summary for one of the themes of season.
And it's a problem. Bean has like died twice. And
even that, like I'm not gonna sing the Buffy song because I can't sing, but you know. He died twice too.
He died twice too.
I don't know why this just gave me strong like season 6 depressed Buffy vibes from Dean.
Well, I mean, yeah, because it's rough because his dad's gone. His brother, he knows now about his brother's fate, destiny, whatever. He's going through a series of very bad weeks of monster hunting, apparently. Because we don't know what his monster hunting was like before he dragged Sam out of college. So maybe this is like a lot of work when before he'd do like one a month.
I mean, I'm going to say yeah, because later on in the season, we do find that he is extremely knowledgeable on movies and TV shows.
Yes, true.
So dude clearly had some free time.
So like maybe he's missing out on Netflix and he's like exhausted.
Yeah.
And he's definitely not processing his mom's death from however many years ago. And I think he needs a nap, a meal.
Yeah. A Snickers. A nap, a Snickers, and a Netflix marathon.
Like a massage, some vegetables. I feel like he probably hasn't eaten a brightly colored in a while.
That's the season 2.5 that we need. Just like Dean's pamper day.
Now, see, I think season 15 Dean would take a per day.
Yeah, he will. He would.
Like by then, he's wearing pajamas and enjoying life in the bunker. Season 2 Dean might slap you in the face.
Yeah, that also brings up the fact that they are still living a nonstop road trip life, and that's exhausting too.
It's really shitty.
Especially since he has to share it with his brother. Dude gets no alone time. I mean, Sam doesn't either, and honestly, Sam's a little bit of an ass sometimes, and like, I will give him that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you both need some alone time.
He
and
does.
not just for like masturbation. Just center yourself.
Just like for it to be someone write. I'm sure someone's written the fic. Someone find the fic from 2009. Send it over. Poor guy. This is the Dean Winchester needs a nap appreciation. Yeah, so he's got some to do, and I think is not good at processing emotions sometimes, and yet he's kind of the most emotional person in the show.
Yeah, and at this point, I would say has the most to process in terms of, I mean, Sam's got a dead girlfriend and, you know, dead mom, and apparently it was all because of him. But
it's all your fault, Sam.
Yeah, but Dean is kind of cast in a lot of different roles and a lot of different responsibilities. Sam doesn't really have any of that. Like, Sam was never anyone's caretaker.
No, and Dean is definitely mom Dean and dad Dean.
Yeah, he is parent figure, and it's got to be frustrating to be the parent figure who is seen as kind of a child figure and immaturity, because Sam definitely has a superiority complex when it comes to, you know, intelligence, maturity. Yeah.
Literally
so
everything.
His brother that raised him that he inherently thinks he's kind of better than in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's rough. And we all know Dean's the better brother.
God, we are both so biased.
I know.
Apologies to any diehard Sam lovers that happen to still be listening. Like,
sorry. We'll do an extra episode with a Sam girl or Sam boy. Yeah. No genders here.
Yes, Sam person, Sam formless blob.
We don't do genders on this podcast. No. The only gender is Castiel.
Aww.
And honestly, once we hit season 4, this podcast is simply going to be a Cass Dean podcast. So Larry.
Yeah, it's leading that direction.
Sorry. Yeah, so we have some other episodes. We've got our H.H. Holmes, who really should have been scarier, right? Frankly, I think.
Yeah, it should have been scarier. I mean, I liked that episode for Joe. I love the actress. Loved her in Veronica Mars, which is a show that does not stand up to rewatch. Sorry, we're not going to be doing a Veronica Mars on the rocks.
That's okay. I've never seen it.
Amazing
Sorry.
show in a lot of ways, but very politically incorrect.
Okay. Good to know.
Anyway, loved her on there. Love her on Supernatural. I don't know. She was the best part of it.
Okay. Good to know.
I also just really like Pretty Boo.
Our standards are low. It's cool.
Yeah.
And Joe's awesome. So,
yes.
Following that, amazing guest star.
Yes.
Linda Blair.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to have a whole conversation about the guest stars, but that one is worth mentioning,
front and center. Linda Blair guest starred on Supernatural. What a perfect matchup. And there was a comment. Is it in this? Did it happen in an episode before this or after? I think it comes after, but there's an episode where it comes after where it's the Connecticut Inn run by the single mom where there's some hoodoo happening and like the guy's head gets turned around.
I very much enjoyed that episode.
And I was like, his head gets all the way around just like in The Exorcist. I was like, oh. But this is another episode where another I would call it a mini theme or at least a mini plot arc of mass murderer on the run Dean Winchester being chased by the FBI.
Oh yeah, and that is definitely a recurring theme of the episode that they work in a few ways. Which I mean, I don't know much about the law enforcement system, but it seems strange to me that they're that hard to catch when they're in the same with the cops so many times.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, it's also like they're driving an old Impala, with the same license plate. Using fake IDs left and right.
And like in retrospect, the I can't remember what the agents, but he seems to know everything they've done everywhere they've been. So he's following them decently well and yet can't keep them in custody in the same or when they're literally already in prison.
They do have them locked up, I mean, so the charges that they have are for the murder of that one woman that the skinwalker did. And then I'm guessing just a random assortment of crimes. I don't really know what the rest of them are. I was always kind of like, what else do you have them for?
Yeah. I mean,
I guess crime, just in general crime.
Aggravated mischief making.
Yeah. Breaking into stuff. They do that a lot. And they are, if you think about it, they are certainly on security cameras dressed up in a number of different outfits where they are not supposed to be.
I was going to say they lie to people a lot.
They do.
They tell many lies.
And think of the trail of people who thought that they were like getting a home security system installed who never got that work done.
Aww, that's frustrating.
Or like someone thought they were getting a plumber and they still have a clogged toilet. Shit.
Literally.
like where's that cute librarian? Where did he go? Never existed. Gone. That's the real ghost. The plumber was never there. He just disappeared.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I do want to talk about the Crossroads Blues episode for a minute because that is set in. Not only is it slightly pivotal to like the overall arc of Dean and the death issue, but it is set in. That is a Mississippi myth.
I've heard that's a state.
What?
I've heard Mississippi is a state.
It is, yes. But the Devil's Crossroads is an actual like place they've memorialized here because it's where a blues musician sold a soul to the devil in order to play the guitar. But myth is kind of spread.
Are you gonna go there and like do a live stream for the pod?
Probably not. But I will say some trivia for you. That town has a club called Ground Zero that Morgan Freeman owns.
Oh, will he be on the pod? Morgan Freeman?
I will reach out, see if he wants to chat.
Great, super.
Yeah, but the reason I mention that is because this is the only episode of season 2 that I very distinctly remember.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, apparently, I either watched that one a couple of times or just stuck out because home state. It's not often Mississippi appears in media, and it's not, like, horribly racist.
Oh, Sad. You should talk to your governor.
Yeah, I would love to have conversation. But yeah, so we hit the kind of exposition episode form for the whole deal making thing with this episode.
We do. We get a primer on crossroads and making a deal for your soul. Sucks. Don't do it.
Yeah, that's TLDR there. Probably shouldn't.
I did have a question of where Dean was getting Wi-Fi on his laptop in a diner in 2006.
Pretty advanced diner there.
Yep.
I don't think in most places in Mississippi you would get Wi-Fi in a diner now. So the episode after that had obviously hands down the best guest star in the Croatoan episode. Do you know what I'm going to say?
I'm going to let you...
Hunter Clarington.
Splenda.
Yeah, and this is strictly for those crossover fans that also listen to Glee on the Rocks.
Can I say that I did not recognize him at first?
Oh, really?
It took a hot minute. I was like, that jaw.
Yeah.
There's something... What?
Well, I saw him and I was like, oh, is that... No, but maybe. And then I Googled it and I was like, Nolan Gerard Funk.
Yes. For our Glee listeners... See, really, we've been doing this entire podcast just to get to this moment of
Absolutely.
crossover. Yep.
Well,
so that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all we've got for you. That's the end of this podcast. Thank you for listening.
Wait. Maybe we should keep going in case he comes back.
Oh, got it. Yes. The one returning guest star.
Yeah.
Certainly wasn't going to die in this episode where everyone dies of a virus.
No. Which also, I made a note that the whole virus thing, also very X-Files.
Yep.
Somebody watched Ice.
I think somebody watched the box set.
Yeah, maybe so. They might be slightly fans.
Or, well, no, Ryan Murphy came far after this with the Croatoan. Why am I echoing?
The entire storyline also annoys me because I feel like it's not that much of a mystery.
Right.
I mean, the word written on the tree in actual Roanoke was the name of a tribe, and when they visited the tribe, there were lots of little blonde-haired, blue-eyed kids running around. So, I mean,
surprise.
Just saying, maybe.
I am always surprised when Dean knows the answer so quickly. And I think that's only because they try to make him sound like an idiot, but he's the one who's for so long. And I kind of hate that.
He has the instincts too, and I think they like to kind of show that sometimes, unless it's, not useful to the scene.
That's very true. Yeah, because he was the one who was out hunting with Pops while Samo in law school. So why wouldn't Croatoan? Okay, so after Croatoan, we return to Sterling K. Brown.
So I didn't take many notes on this episode, and as a result, I don't entirely remember the plot, and I'm guessing the note I did make was a bit boring. In terms of the family dramatics, not the biggest fan, but I did like Ava.
Yes, so at the end of the other episode is when Dean has to tell Sam what Papa John told him what he said when he died.
Yeah.
So Sam runs off to Indiana or wherever the fuck they're going. And that's where he meets Ava with an E or an A. I don't actually know.
I think. I mean, it's pronounced as Ava with an A, unless, they're just saying it weirdly.
Who knows? So that's where he meets Ava, who is another of the special children. And she tells him that she is looking for him because she knows that he's going to die.
Yeah, she had I think hers is a dream, wasn't it?
A dream or a vision, something like that. Yeah. At the same time, vampire hunter Gordon is also trying to kill him because that's what because why not? Just for fun, I think is what's happening there. And I think so Gordon's been talking to a demon who's been telling him about a coming war, of some proportion. We don't really know who this war is between, but I'm assuming we can kind of assume it's humans and demons, good and evil, blah de blah de blah. We also find out that Jo has fucked off to hunt on her own, and Ellen is super sad about it. Or sad or pissed.
Yeah, both. Which is, very mom-like.
Yeah. I don't know that Ellen gets sad so much as pissed. So now we've kind of ramped up a bit more on the special children. Now there's a war. How are the special children involved? What's going on with that? But then we get to go to Connecticut. Can you imagine what their gas costs are in that Impala?
Oh my God, yeah. And I wonder if they have any.
They
Surely
don't,
not.
like, they're using stolen credit cards.
Yeah.
Like, do they have AAA?
I just love the idea that they get a flat and they're just like chilling on the side of the road. No room in the trunk of baby.
Yeah.
Baby is officially the term.
Yes, baby is now officially the term. Where is the spare for baby? It's not in the trunk.
Not with all those weapons.
No.
I don't think crossbow would really work in a pinch against a flat tire.
You can't jack up a car with a crossbow. So, there's a single mom with a creepy young daughter, so who's playing with an imaginary friend, which we know because this is supernatural. And there's some voodoo happening. And really, it's the creepy grandmother in the attic, which is never good.
And I gotta say, this was my second favorite episode of the season. I am just a sucker for creepy kids. This is, and it's not my favorite because it's that creepy. And, they could have gone a little harder on the creepiness, but I feel like this is exactly what early Supernatural should be. Just like, you get like good Sam and Dean moments. You get a, somewhat engaging plot line, and you really get the sense that they are demon hunters.
Yeah, this is like their job. This is what they do. Someone's got a problem. They go in, they fix it. Only a few people die. And
they've hit like a stride with it. Because, season 1, Sam, out of law school, trauma, all that stuff. But like, they're into it.
Yep. They're into it.
We've also got and I have to assume this was just the writers like having a bit of a play with Fandom, because I remember Fandom in season 2 of Supernatural, and there was a main ship. So we get the little Wincest indications there. People assuming they're a gay couple. The creepy kid episode is where Sam says to Dean, "You're kind of butch, and I think you're overcompensating."
Yes, that is true. That is that is that line.
That is that line.
That is that one. That is true.
Yep. And then we go from creepy kids into another feds chasing them.
Yep. I didn't care so much for this episode just because it felt a little cop drama, and I was
it wasn't scary, which, it wasn't even 42-minute format TV episode scary. And it felt very it felt like a cop episode.
It felt like a cop drama, and like sometimes I'm invested in the fact that the feds are chasing Dean, which like they should be. Yeah. But other times I'm like, can I just watch them hunt monsters? I'm not.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I think it's funny that the cops are after them, and sometimes I don't interrupt my flow with 42 minutes of a cop drama. Like sometimes it's a little funnier if you have Linda Blair there. If she's not there, then why are you bothering?
I mean, I like the realism of it, but I'm also kind of bored by being shown the realism of it.
Yes, it's complicated, and it's not Supernatural's fault. Yeah. I'm complicated.
Yeah. I mean, I will admit, if the cops were never after them, I would probably be annoyed and be like, that's unrealistic. So please deliver me my cake, and
I'll decide if I want to eat it.
Exactly. Yes. So now we're going to pause for a little commercial break. So you can learn about a podcast that I personally listen to. It's called So Farscape. So take it away, Khaki.
Hey, do you remember Farscape?
Never heard of it.
It's the late 90s sexy sci-fi series produced in Australia by the Jim Henson Company.
That doesn't sound real.
It's about an astronaut lost in a strange alien universe aboard a living spaceship.
Oh, you mean Lex?
No, I said Farscape.
And I said no.
But it's got all these fantastic aliens and brilliantly developed characters and mind-blowing Muppets and rollicking space adventures.
Wait, did you say Muppets?
I sure did.
That sounds amazing.
Farscape is one of my favorite shows of all time. Hey, you want to watch it with me?
Hell yeah.
Can I get a hell yeah?
Join us on So Farscape, a fun-filled Farscape fancast where my bestie shows me a new to me episode of Farscape, and we spend an hour raving about it like school kids on a sleepover.
And that's the story, So Farscape.
May the Force be with you.
That's Star Wars.
Shut up.
So then we get a little religious.
I gotta say, like, this episode is one I almost fell asleep during.
I think the only redeeming value of this episode was Dean saying there's no such thing as angels simply because he's never seen one.
Yes. I
was
my
like-
note at that, like, literally the words I wrote in my notes were, "Hey Dean, life comes at you fast."
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, Dean, have you seen a 42-ounce porter? Like, what else haven't you seen? Have you seen the Grand Canyon? But it's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not even just like, oh, I'm agnostic about religion, or I believe in Hinduism, I believe like anything else. Like, there's no such thing because I haven't seen one. Like, well, you hadn't seen Killer Clowns. You did. Like, what the fuck?
Maybe that's the secret to Dean's logic, is that he accepts that there are a lot of things he hasn't seen, and he will believe them as soon as he sees them. He's like, shapeshifters. All right, well, that's a thing now.
That's a thing now. And then he meets Cass, and he's like, well, I guess I'm getting married.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not something that happens canonically.
We're gonna pop up with a season 16 of this bitch that no one's expecting.
Surprise! Yes.
This episode specifically, I think I realized something about myself while watching it. And that is, if you make me watch 42 minutes of only white men appearing on camera, I'm going to immediately forget whatever you were trying to, like, tell me.
That's legit.
I mean, is this how white men feel watching anything, like, without themselves in it?
I think they just don't bother watching it.
That's true. Because
I
I was going to say, like, I almost, I not really understand it. Like, I
think they just, like, click past it.
It's just a very
Yeah, they did mention the Archangel Michael, though, and I was like, was that a hint, or was that just a mistake?
Totally. Who knows? Foreshadowing that they may or may not have intended.
Yeah, could be literally anything.
So we have another episode after this that I mean, is important to the arc, I guess, but my main issue with the episode 14 is that I don't like how Joe was treated.
Yes.
Like, I'm already preparing to be extremely prickly about their treatment of women.
Yes, and that'll probably be its own episode at some point here. Is just like supernatural and women, question mark?
I also don't understand how the holy water doesn't hurt Sam if it literally steams when it touches his skin. Like, do they mean it doesn't have any lasting effect? Or do they mean, like, because he's possessed, he can't? This is not a critique. I literally was just curious as I was watching it. Like, how does the holy water demon interaction work?
So it felt like for a little while they had on possession, and now it starts to feel like, or maybe it's because it's Sam's a Mary Sue, or and like, if they want to say that it works differently because he is he's mostly human and he's a special child, that's fine, but then you have to, like, keep to that later on, And I don't
into things like that.
Yeah, I did. Outside of that, I did have a problem with those dudes just going around touching evidence just left and right. They're touching blood, they're touching weapons or fingerprints or stuff. Like, okay, but someone did die, and you are ruining it for everybody.
All right, we are on Tall Tale.
Yes, so we get a friend. We get the trickster. We get Archangel Gabriel / Loki / the trickster / whatever the fuck he is. Yes. We get Bobby. We get, like, an old-fashioned male-dominated episode.
Yeah.
There's nothing but dudes in this episode and scantily clad white women.
Which I like. There are so many things about the episode, like, you frame it like that I feel like I shouldn't like. I kind of enjoyed it. I like Bobby. I like the trickster, as he's known now.
Yes.
And the format, I mean, like we mentioned earlier, is very X-Files. Definitely didn't love the usage of women. Like, at this point, Supernatural is, like, building its resume of badness in terms of treatment.
Yep,
this season is, like, firmly, fill in the first paragraph there.
Yeah. It's starting to really tick some boxes where you're like, oh, this is we're going to do that. Cool.
But
it's fun.
Do you have more to say on that episode? Because I was about to move.
No, the next episode was my season favorite.
Yes, same.
Yes.
Incredible episode.
So good.
Incredible female lead in it.
Yes.
Just love it.
Love this episode.
Trisha Helfer, like, oh my God.
Yep.
I will, again, have a whole thing about the guest stars they picked, but
Yes, so this is season 2, episode 16, Roadkill, and this is Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and this is a episode that it does a 180, right? So you think that you are following the victim of the episode, and it turns out that she is the ghost all along.
Yeah. And I didn't remember the episode, and I didn't anticipate the twist. I mean, like, I could tell that her husband was alive, just, I don't know, had a hunch.
Right.
But yeah, didn't anticipate it. I don't know. I think I was not expecting Supernatural to do that.
Or do it this soon in this
Yeah, or do it
series.
This soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I loved it. Yeah.
So, you know, Sam and Dean are in the Impala, and a woman bolts out in front and screaming for help, and a crazy farmer is chasing her and all this kind of stuff. And it's very classic season 1, season 2. You know, they're helping her and she's looking for her lost husband and all this kind of stuff. And Sam is trying to describe spirits to her, and he's saying that they have unfinished business and that it's revenge and love and hate that they are holding on too tightly, that they're caught in the same loops, forever trapped. Straight up just describing him and Dean.
Yeah.
And she asks, so you hunt these things and you don't know what happens to them? And I was like, what's some A+ foreshadowing?
That really is. Yeah. I mean,
nice.
I think that if I were going to recommend an episode of Supernatural for anyone to start with, at this point, it would be this one.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I might be disappointed by whatever they watch next, but
well, and it's funny because, I mean, it's funny, but it's not funny. But Sam says they never come back. That's all that matters. And it's like, well, guess what happens in 3 episodes, bitch.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I like it because it's different, obviously, and she's such a great actor. And they show such compassion towards a spirit that they so rarely show. Yeah. Like, they walk her through this process instead of just bashing her with iron. When they could have just they could have just do what they always do.
I mean, and they even, like, while they don't show nearly as much compassion to the farmer, like, you do kind of get his story too. Like, you know, really loved his wife. She killed herself after he was hit by a car. I mean, you kind of get, like, the full 360 of the story.
And I don't know about you, but for me, it had, like, a slight feeling of, oh, this could kind of happen to you if you got into the situation. Yeah. Like, what if you got caught in this loop if you believed in ghosts? Like, what if this was your loop and you didn't know?
And she is such an amazing actress. Like, that end scene where she sees her husband and, like, he's married again. Like,
I know. And it's been years. Like, oh, it's heartbreaking. Yeah. And you have to think about all of the other ghosts who have been doing it for so long that they become wraiths. So they're no longer ghosts. They've become poltergeists. They've become just gotten worse and worse and worse. Like, oh, at least, I mean, the Winchesters go around destroying things, put her to rest.
Now, maybe if they would just stop and ask some of the other ones, hey, do you want to talk first?
There you go. That's the Winchester spinoff. Our ghost therapist.
Yes.
See, they shouldn't be busting ghosts. They should be
also, the references in this episode were great. We had, like, the Jennifer Love Hewitt reference because she was on Ghost Whisperer at the time. And then the Haley Joel Osment reference.
Yep. There's some good ones in there. This was like a great episode. I'm glad it was your favorite, too. Yep. As soon as it started, I was like, this is the one.
And I didn't, like, I'm genuinely surprised. Like, I remembered the Crossroads episode, but not this one. Like, to the extent that I didn't get the plot twist that was coming, which really made it a lot of fun.
Yep, that's the fun of it when you don't see it coming, too. So if for some reason you're listening to this podcast and you've never watched Supernatural, watch this episode first.
Yeah.
Watch the pilot and then this episode. And then the finale? No, don't watch the finale.
No, you don't need that. So yeah, we go from this definite highlight of the season to Heart, a werewolf story.
Yes. And then we go to Hollywood Babylon.
Yes.
I mean, what?
Well done. Yeah.
What's that? That's how I was going to tackle that episode, was just...
Oh, no, wait. One thing worth mentioning, towards the start, Terrell Rothery guest stars, really loved her on Stargate. Okay, now, Hollywood Babylon.
God, there really are some.
Yeah, no, we haven't
Jesus.
even touched on half of my list.
Wow. Well, that's how you know it's a hot show. Line up the guest star. Looking at you, Glee.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah,
They had
Hollywood Babylon, good episode. I mean,
Hollywood Babylon.
yeah.
Not as good as X-Files Hollywood AD.
No.
But
no.
This is, I think, their first meta episode.
Yes, which they do like to revisit that.
They do. We've got Gilmore Girls, we have references to Canada and Hollywood, and it's set on a film. They're doing a horror movie. Mick G is in the fucking episode. Like, Gary Cole. Like, it is Hollywood. It has nothing to do with the plot, I don't think. It's just a fun episode about a haunted film set, right? Like, it's just fun.
It definitely felt like a light-hearted episode before they jump into a more serious, like, lead into.
Yes, for sure. So other than it being fun, like, cool. There's like a nice tracking shot of them walking through the backlot. Like, all right, cool, good, cool, nice.
I liked, for one thing, we do get to see another like facet of Dean's personality in that he really likes horror movies and stuff like that.
Yep.
Nice little hobby there. And I like how quickly Dean took to having an actual job.
Yes, yeah.
Like,
me too.
He got really into it.
He really did, and he picked that shit up fast. Well, I mean, obviously because it was written, but the character picked it up so fast.
And that was, I don't know, that made me sad a little for
how
I know Dean's future goes, but also just nice.
It did, and I think it's one of those many signposts throughout the series that hunting is not what Dean is supposed to be doing. One, he's supposed to be dead, and two, he should not be a hunter. Like, this is not his life.
You also get...
In this essay, I will.
We do get a picture of Dean and what he would be like if he weren't a hunter.
Yes, we do. We can skip the prison episode if you want.
Yeah.
The only thing I have to say about the prison episode is that how did they get the only tailored?
Yeah, really.
Everyone else has sleeves down to their elbows, and they've got them showing off their guns. And his name is Agent Henriksen.
Oh, okay.
That's where I wrote it down.
It continues on with the Fed storyline, and it's fine. Got a feel for that one guy who really, for the agent who really thought he had him.
I know, he was really trying to do his job, and I appreciate that. He's got, he pile of paperwork.
Yes.
And he was like, I am finally clearing the inbox today. I am closing a case. And then he didn't. It didn't happen. But I like, you got to see another little bit of the network that the hunters have with the prison warden. That's nice.
And if I were the nurse beaten to death, I would absolutely spend my afterlife picking horrible people and killing them. I feel like that's one where they could have just been like, you're sure you're only killing actually bad people? Yeah.
That is an excellent point. You think maybe sometimes they're just like, no, go on.
Yeah, like, you're doing a good job. So
continue on with the good work. And in fact, if we could direct you to the left over here, if you could take care of this mother, that would be great. But yeah, so before the 2-part season finale, so I'm gonna consider episodes 21 and 22 as just the finale. It's a 2-part.
Yeah.
We have a flash sideways, if you will, of what is what should never be. That's what the episode title was, and I was like, you don't have to title that. That's just that's fic title. But Dean wakes up in a world that is not his. He wakes up in bed with a hot girl. His mother is alive. He works at a garage. Sam in law school, and he's not a hunter, and he kind of digs this life.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's not a hunter, and is obviously freaked out about the situation he finds himself in, but doesn't seem to, have much complaint about the life he's dropped into.
No, doesn't hate it.
His mom is alive. He's excited to mow a lawn because we find out he's never done that before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He likes his mom making him a sandwich. He likes going out to dinner with his family,
Yeah.
The only thing he doesn't seem to like is that he and Sam are not.
Yes. Yep. And I liked the references to other episodes. They kind of replay the pilot of him and Sam kind of tussling as he sort of breaks into the house. yes, unfortunately, it turns out that he has been mojoed by a djinn and is currently tied up in a warehouse being drained of all of his blood. But, like, whatever. So who cares? But Dean has to kind of decide if he wants to stay in this dreamscape of a safe life and die, or go back to the hunt and probably also die eventually.
Yeah. And I like seeing him with, like, the moral push and pull of, I could stay with my family, but all these people are dead if I do.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what's interesting too? Like, so throughout the whole series, there is this tension of the other life Dean could have had were he not a hunter. Because if you think about it, there's some people have a difficult life, but it's like that's what they do. I'm a fireman, I'm a soldier, I'm whatever. But he is always kind of battling with family, home, raising a family, whatever. And the ending of Supernatural, spoiler alert to anyone who for some reason to this and has not watched the ending of Supernatural just fucking takes that away all over again, where he doesn't even get to retire. He doesn't get to live out a life post Hunter.
He doesn't ever get a lawn to cut or
no
like that.
And I still and we'll get there in 15 years when we get to that episode, but like I still don't understand why. I still don't understand why Supernatural was like, it's a good ending for this character who's been through hell, literal, physical hell. Let's kill him at 42. Mm-hmm. That'll be fun. Yeah. What? Like, everything that he's wanted is a family, some version of a family, right? If that's found family, if that's whatever, any sort of friend situation, family situation, etc. Great. Let's take it away. Let's just take it away. That'll be funny. What? Why? Why are you like this? And here, in the very beginning of the series, in season 1 and 2, we have these moments of Dean thinking about his other version of a good life. And it's there all along. What's wrong with these writers? What's wrong with Eric Kripke? Who hurt you? What did they do to you, Eric? So now we have a 2-part finale. All Hell Breaks Loose, Part 1 and 2, which is a very descriptive episode title of what is happening because they literally opened the literal gates of hell. Fucking surprise. That's what whoa, hello, cat. You know what? You can leave that right in. Hi. Welcome to our special podcast guest host, the cat.
I mean, he is a, black cat.
He is.
It feels like he's got some input here.
Are you just... Yeah, you're just gonna rub your face directly on the microphone. Yeah, go for it. I dare you. You buy a new one. So Sam Winchester, dumbest motherfucker in town, is abducted by the yellow-eyed demon and ends up in a ghost town somewhere in the United States, I think. It's not a weird dimension. It is just somewhere.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it isn't actually a town. They make a comment about being so haunted everyone moved or something.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean,
so haunted. They're in just a frontier town. Of the other special children. Turns out that Yellow Eyes having a fight to discover who amongst his most special.
Yeah.
So it's not that he needs an army. There can only be one. He only needs one Highlander. So,
he had a bunch of kids made so he could Hunger Games them together.
Yes, exactly. To get the one good one. And it turns out Ava's been there a long time. So Ava's been missing, and by missing, been in this town, killing the other and she control demon, which is really kind of badass.
It is, yeah. I mean, I was a little bit, I'm rooting for Ava, but rooting for Ava.
Right, yeah, it's too bad that it was a little dark side, because it's imagine if the Wizards just had some other side who could control that.
Very convenient.
Super convenient. Even if it wasn't an infallible thing, she could only control D1 demon and not Lucifer.
Yeah, still useful.
Super.
Especially just as hunters trying to clear out minor mischief.
Yeah. It's if they needed to clear out a nest somewhere, she could, you've got Cass off doing one thing, they send Ava out to clear out, and then they could just spread their forces out a little more Risk style.
I mean, imagine a world Supernatural's response to any woman with a halfway interesting story wasn't, better kill them.
Better turn them evil and kill them.
Which, by the way, don't think I didn't notice that they killed the lesbian first. really supernatural. You are scoring some bad points in my book.
You're right. They did.
First two people in the episode to die were the women. First
Yep.
one was the lesbian.
Well, the black guy lives a little bit.
Kinda, but they made him evil, which also is a point I want to make, that they seem to have a real bad habit about only casting black people as, black men as evil.
Yeah, that's rough. And he's such a fun guy from Leverage.
Absolutely.
It's Alec from Leverage.
Yeah.
They made him a little pawn.
Yeah.
He's too good for this shit.
It's like supernatural, real, and this is getting into other topics. Maybe we should save this, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. Supernatural has this problem that a lot of shows have where, like, if they kill a woman, if they kill an LGBTQ character, if they kill a black character, they always want to say, well, it's more important to tell the character story, or, there's no reason the character should be off limits. But the rule should be that a character that is a minority is only expendable if you have multiple of them.
Right.
So many white guys, you can kill a few, it's fine. If you had, if throughout the course of this season, you had 6 lesbian characters, you could absolutely kill one in the finale.
Yeah, sure.
If you had 6 black men characters covering a, variety of character types, you could absolutely kill one in the finale. But
we got Gordon the Vampire Hunter and Leverage.
Yeah. And then one lesbian.
Yeah.
I mean, their track record with women in general, not that good, but one lesbian, and she dies after about 2.
Real bad. Real. And we have to assume that these are already somewhat because they have made it this far in haunted mansion, haunted Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Yes. And we don't even get to see them use their power. She just gets hung, cool, great.
I'll be honest, I spent the rest of the finale being really angry that they were killing the women and minorities.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there was a plot, the whole, open the gates of hell thing, but I was less invested.
Yes.
Because I was like, hey, look, you could have at least left me Ava.
Well, I mean, so one of the big consequences here is that Leverage stabs Sam in the back.
Yes.
And this, I guess, requires Dean and his name is Jake, but I'm just going to call him. And that is not a disrespect. That is that Leverage is a better character.
And he is an amazing actor.
He is. And I'm still working my way through Leverage because somehow I didn't watch it the first time around. I don't know why. So in the second part of the finale, it looks like Sam is dead, and in fact, he is, frankly.
Yeah. And
Dean, dumbass, decides to summon a crossroads demon to offer his soul in 10 years in exchange for Sam's life. And the crossroads, because she's not a fool, says she'll do it in 1 year. Which seems like a terrible deal.
Horrible deal for Dean.
Horrible deal.
To her for knowing her negotiating lines, I guess, but bad deal for Dean.
Bad deal for Dean. I'd love to know some of the rules. Dean his soul has already been negotiated for.
Oh, yeah.
Because of John. So I wonder how that works. John made a deal for his life. But I guess that doesn't matter because Dean didn't make himself. So I guess it doesn't matter if his life has already been bartered for. John is dead. The deal's done, right?
I guess so. Yeah.
I guess you can make your own deal regardless. Deal has already been your life. If it's not already on the hook. Like if... Where are the writers? I have questions about this. What are the rules here? Regardless. Bring me a writer. He makes the deal. Without asking for anyone's advice, and we all know that this is not going to work out well, because Dean, as we know, has already... What's dead should stay dead, and that...
Yeah, to circle back to that, yeah.
To circle back, what's dead should stay dead. Dean has died twice, or should have died twice, and now Sam has died, and both of them are still walking around. Not great. On top of that, it turns out Samuel Colt has somehow built railway lines that create a devil's trap that protects a cemetery that holds a crypt that is a Devil's Gate.
That they had no idea about.
That literally nobody knew, and the gun... Oh, whatever. The point here is that demons couldn't cross... And, okay, also, like, no earthquake in the U.S. ever disrupted these railway lines, or, like,
Good point.
Any sort of development over the last 100... Whatever. No demon could cross the lines, which is fine, because it's Devil's Trap. But a person with a little drippy drop of demon blood, superpowers, could. Hence, the special children. So now we know why Yellow Eyes has been making the special children. We did it! Season 2 has made sense now. So Yellow Eyes manages to open the crypt. Cool.
Yeah.
And like a lot of stuff just comes flying out of there. Yellow Eyes... So the crypt opens. Sam shoots the shit out of Jake from State Farm. Jake from Leverage. Yellow Eyes taunts Dean that what he brought back from death isn't Sam. This is a trope we all know. Like, we know this from Pet Sematary. We know this from The Mummy. We know this from everything. That anything you bring back from the dead is, like, not good. So there's that happening. John Winchester's little soul appears just long enough to save Dean from Yellow Eyes, giving him the chance to shoot Yellow Eyes with the last bullet from the Colt.
How convenient.
How convenient. And then I guess this one last act of redemption saves John's soul, disappears into somewhere, I think.
That part I really could have given, like, less of a shit about, but...
Yeah. So season 2 ends with a lot of demons and shit roaming the earth freely, which is kind of cute if you think about your seasons and what gets released on Earth. And the season does end with the infamous "We've got work to" trunk shot, which I appreciated.
Yeah. I mean, it's a nice lead-in to see.
It is a great lead-in. Yep. We know it's coming. They've got a lot of shit to kill, except for, I think, the good monsters that they probably shouldn't.
Yeah, maybe stop and hear their story first.
Just, like, ask some questions. Get to know them. Yeah. So there's a lot that happens, but it's really based on those key things that we talked about there. Yeah. Thoughts?
I mean, I like I said at the top of the show, I laid this.
Me too.
The Sam storyline still just doesn't move me, but, like, I get it. I get how it felt good, like, to have a Sam storyline that built like that. Just wish I liked Sam more. Like, that's what it comes down to for me. And I wish that they'd gone a little harder with the special children. I wish I could have, like, known some of them more, cared about some of them more. Like, seeing, what was the guy with the brother?
Yes.
Him.
That guy.
He got a good episode. Ava got, good feelings. I don't know. Why are words suddenly hard when I'm doing a podcast?
Because it's been like 2 hours.
Yes, this is true. This is a long haul, and I haven't eaten.
Hey, me neither.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would have been nice to have known them more and then to care more when you realize that they're all killing each other. Because, like, right now you're like, well, they're just gone. Like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, I was extremely irate at Lily the lesbian dying first, but I also had zero attachment. Like, she gets a one-line backstory about having killed her girlfriend.
Right. We love a one-line backstory. That really, really gets the tears flow. Yeah. And it's, we'll have to see what recall there is in season 3 too.
Yeah. Which I don't remember at all.
I don't either.
But very enjoyable season overall. Partially for some really standout episodes, partially for some really standout guest star casting.
Yep.
I mean, Trisha Helfer, obviously amazing. And I looked into the casting because I was like, I wonder how many of these are on purpose. I mean, they cast Amber Benson, known for playing a witch on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, as a vampire.
Yep.
Like, that was specifically done. Like, they specifically wanted Amber Benson for that role. They cast Trisha in Roadkill specifically because, and this is the quote, like, from the Wikipedia article, they wanted to hire actors important to Supernatural's fan base. So...
See, they get it. At least they did at one point.
Yeah. I'm like, so that was catering to the fan base, but like honestly, that was catering to the fan base in a really good way. Like casting a talented actress in a good role. Yeah.
It's not that hard, right? That's not that hard. They get it. That's how you do it. That's how you get us.
So Madison and Hart, like I wasn't someone that watched Smallville, but the actress that played Madison and Hart was in Smallville, which I think was probably another example of that because that was a contemporary CW show, I think. And of course they cast Aldous Hodge from Leverage, which I think was already airing at the Linda Blair. Sterling K. Brown, who was just an amazing actor.
Sterling.
Let me go back up to my list. Of course, Nolan. Yep. Was not in any regard famous at the time.
No.
But
and is he now?
No. But he is in our hearts.
He is for us.
For his pencil shaving latte. Another guest star was Keegan Connor Tracy, who was like showed up in a lot of stuff around the time. And then Terrell Rothery, which I made a note of some of these because it like Trisha, Terrell, Aldous, very clear they were filming in Canada. All of those were in contemporary shows that were also filming in Canada. So that makes sense. A little bit,
who could they get quickly?
Yeah. But good choices too, because Supernatural did fit in with the genre of most of those. Maybe not Leverage, but still kind of. All right, so that's my little rant. Not rant. I need to learn other words.
I don't. I've stopped learning new words.
On guest stars. I think I've already talked myself out about my complaints about their treatment of women and minorities as the first to die.
We're going to have a whole extra episode on that, so don't worry.
Yes, yeah. Do we want to talk about Dean? Do we want to talk about Dean?
Yeah, we should. I mean, again, we could just have an entire podcast about Dean, but like, I maintain that there are two sets of writers on Supernatural. There are the writers who understand Dean, and there are the writers who don't. And I think you can divide the episodes who understand Dean and the episodes who don't. And they fall into the episodes where Dean is like complicated and kind of sarcastic and funny. He has hobbies and he like makes pop culture references and he enjoys things, but he gets the job done. And he has clearly read a book at some point in his life. He is competent, is capable. He loves his brother, eats burgers, like he is multi-dimensional. And then there is the Dean who just chases tail and likes his car and is an idiot. And that's the Dean who the writers don't understand. And I don't care for that. And season 2 Dean, I think a majority fell into the writers understand this Dean. He, especially, he kind of, there were the scenes where he started to hit on Joe and then realized like, this is not the time nor the place. I can't do this. This is not right. He's the scenes at his mother's tombstone, trying to work through what he should or should not do there and obfuscating it by catching sight of the tree that was dying and just taking his attention elsewhere and being like, I'm not going to deal with that shit because I can't.
Yeah. He basically just like refocuses his energy into something else. Literally the nearest thing.
The nearest thing. And that makes sense to me as Dean and not this guy who's just all bravado. Yeah. It's the Dean Winchester that's bravado and also heart.
And I think like it may be an accidental thing because like you said, I think some writers just like understand and some don't. But compared to season 1, you kind of get Dean on this like almost toxic masculinity bravado journey. In season 2 definitely has some moments like, I don't know, where it's just Dean and like clearly someone is writing him as a little bit of like a womanizing oaf.
Yeah.
And then you get the moments where he's really considering his behavior.
Yeah.
Like with Joe, like especially like with
definitely.
And that can be just like growing up, growing a little more aware of himself.
Yeah, probably.
And
I do too.
I like the idea because I mean it's realistic characterization that someone when they're understanding more about themselves will kind of cling on to certain bad behaviors before they can quite let them go.
Yes, absolutely. Because it's easier and it's safe.
Yeah.
You can fall back on that thing that makes you feel comfortable and doesn't scare the shit out of you.
And I think especially if you factor in Dean kind of dealing with some trauma, some PTSD over having essentially died. And then, he's, you don't know this at the beginning, but by the end you do. I mean, he's basically like got a dead dad who told him you may have to kill your brother.
Yep. That's troubling.
A little bit of trauma.
A little bit of trauma. A little troubling. It's a lot to deal with.
We get the whole monologue about his responsibility when he thinks Sam is dead.
Yes.
And I actually wrote that out. Like, Dad didn't even have to tell me. It was always my responsibility. I had one job, and I screwed it.
Yeah, a kid should not know that.
No.
And neither should a teenager. Like, that's not your job.
Yeah.
That's never your job. He's got a lot to deal with, knows it, and he's not great handling it, and he's not great at... He's not shuffling. He's not great at weighing. He's not great at balancing the things he needs to do. It's either rescue Sam and everything else gets put aside, or it's the job and nothing else. He can't. It's like he can't do both. He can't take care of himself and Sam. Take care of himself and Sam and the job. It's all one or nothing.
Which also could have been a struggle that his dad had, but his dad picked the job over everything.
He did. Yeah. And he didn't have to, his dad didn't have the balancing factor of another partner to take care of children with. And I didn't want to be like, his dad didn't have a wife, but like he didn't. He didn't have a partner to help with, which is why like a 2-family household and not like a wife, but like when you have, if it's not just you doing absolutely everything, it's a lot easier to take care of stuff.
Yeah.
Dean had a dad who consistently gone for 2 weeks at a time, so he was parent, brother, guardian, teacher, etc. to a toddler. That's not appropriate.
No, yeah.
Not great. It's not good news. So my point is, anyone who hates Dean because they think he's understand Dean, and I will fight you on the cliffs at dawn.
I can sort of believe that Dean is very comfortable with people thinking he's a womanizer, though.
Yes, because it's easy, right? Like, it's an easy role to fall into. You don't have to answer. Yeah, definitely. For sure. I have to talk about it. I don't even remember what you talked about an hour ago.
I mean, I think that has actually covered everything I wanted to talk about. I just checked my list.
My small notes, my bugaboos, remember where I was. Why do we never meet their uncle? Apparently they have an uncle.
Yeah.
Yep. This is when I start hating Sam's sideburns. In my defense, I hate all sideburns, but this is when they really start drawing focus, and sometimes I can't look at the screen. The number of head wounds these people get is troubling, and at some point you have to start wondering if the events of Supernatural aren't just delusion.
Yeah. I mean, I have this thing where I don't like watching fight scenes, and the number of times I skipped past them just wailing on people or getting like punched in the face. And there's like an entire scene where like Sam has a love scene with like major scratches on his face. I'm like, that would hurt. You would not be passionately kissing someone, and if you were, you would, to the extent that Sam was in that montage that I just really didn't need. You would probably be reopening those wounds. Sometimes I think about how dry their knuckles must be, and they're spreading salt around, like, ugh. Yeah. Ow. And like, how much salt do they have to go through? Like, are they on a watch list for salt? Because if you think about like how much salt it would take to line a house, holy shit. Like, did they just carry it in the car with them? Did they just have pallets of salt in the trunk? Where? That's all full of weapons. Get a writer. Jared has a cast on for like a third of the season because he does in fact have a broken wrist. He broke it while performing a stunt. So it is in fact broke. I think, other than again saying it's a problem that the natural order of things is that Dean is supposed to be dead, and I don't want to talk about how that is probably not really why he dies in the series finale, but maybe why. I know, but maybe, yes. I just think it's interesting that they harp so hard on this, what's dead should stay dead in this season, and Dean dies. They both die, and yet here they are. Here they stand. How come everyone else dies except that? I don't know, I think it's just interesting. It's just interesting, and that's the name of our fourth podcast. It's just interesting with Emily and Mandy.
We're quitting our day jobs and we're having a 9th podcast.
I mean, we will also starve, but we'll go out doing something we loved, or at least kind of enjoyed.
Yes, we enjoyed until we actually starved.
Yes. Yeah.
Which for me only takes like 3 hours, to be honest. Great. I don't have any favorite lines because this is not a Glee podcast and this is a whole season of television. So.
I mean, I just have a favorite episode, and that is
Roadkill.
I do give the second place to Playthings, and that is just because I truly enjoy anything with creepy kids in it.
Good call. Good call. I don't know that I have a runner-up.
You didn't like Bad Blood? I mean, what was it?
I do like Bad. I mean, what is it actually called? I don't know what season or episode 15 is called. The Trickster episode.
It is called Tall Tales.
I think I'd like.
No, that's it. Yeah.
I mean, I think I'd like it more without the sexism.
Yes. Yeah. That was probably what kept it out of like the running for my top 5.
Yeah. I like the genie, the Jinn episode just because I like those kind of other, this is what could be, or characters have to go live. It is early in the series for that to happen.
It is, and I had that thought about a couple of things. And like maybe it's just the retrospective of knowing how long the show goes on, but I was like, really, this soon?
It is potentially that they didn't gonna run for 400 years. Yes,
this is true. And I mean, maybe it would have been perfectly timed if, they'd been canceled at season 5.
That's true. That's very true.
But because it went on for 400 years, some things I'm like, that is a little early.
It's a little early. I do want to add very quickly that season 1 is very short on flannel. Supernatural gets a lot of flack for having a lot of flannel, and frankly, what they wear are a lot of t-shirts with overshirts. The flannelometer on season 1 and 2 is like a 1 or a 2. Other characters in flannel, not these two. And I would just like people to keep that in mind of Supernatural for wearing flannel. That's all. That's just a little aside. Any other family business? Cool. So thank you for listening to Supernatural on the Rocks. Catch you on the road. You've been listening to Supernatural on the Rocks, a podcast by OTR Productions. A huge thank you to our sound editor, Adriana, and our podcasts, who secretly run the show. For more episodes, download us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, or wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and more at SPN on the Rocks. If you'd like to support the podcast, you can subscribe to our Patreon account at patreon.com/Glee on the Rocks. Subscribers get ad-free episodes, exclusive mini-episodes deep diving into the fandom, salty opinions, and more. So until next time, this has been The Road That Was.